you give out the secret sauce upfront, yet you are profitable. And this is very counterintuitive. So how does that work?
I think one way or the other, we live in a world where secrets always come out, and there's no point hiding secrets.
Hello everyone, I'm Raj Singhal and welcome to another episode of Founder Series. Here at Founder Series, we will be calling founders, CEOs and builders who have created world-class businesses and deep dive into them. Our aim is to dissect how great businesses are built and how investors look into them. This is part of our mission to share quality knowledge on investing. Our guest for today is Jitendra Chouksey, a first-generation entrepreneur. Jitendra Chouksey, or JC as he commonly known as, is the founder and CEO of Fittr, a community-driven online health and fitness platform. He took a simple idea of helping his friends and families get fit, which started over WhatsApp and Facebook, and turned it into a $100 million enterprise. Today, Fittr has trained and transformed more than 200,000 people around the globe, and they have provided jobs to about 600 people and has democratized fitness. With a community spanning over 104 countries and 2.5 million people, Fittr is one of the hottest Indian startups, backed by the like of Suniel Shetty and Sequoia Capital. JC's vision of the community stemmed from his intent to offer a safe and judgment-free environment for people. He aims to transform over 50 million people and create 100,000 jobs through Fittr. A winner of the Business World Young Entrepreneur Award 2020, JC is a certified sports nutritionist from International Sports Sciences Association and has an engineering degree in IT. I'm also joined here by Mihir, who's my co-founder at Multipie, and he will be co-hosting this show. Mihir was one of the early beneficiaries of JC's work and is very passionate about both nutrition and investing. So without further ado, please welcome JC. Hey JC, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
So JC, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, and it's also a fanboy moment for me on the personal side. The Fittr community has helped me become fit, but more importantly, it's taught me a way of life. It's taught me some universal truths and principles which I have applied to other fields, where also I have seen positive results. What you have built is truly phenomenal, and me as well as our listeners are very eager to hear more. So with that, let's get started.
Sure.
Thanks, Mihir. JC, by the way, I read that you grew up in a small place in MP, and I also grew up in a small town called Bhilai, which used to be in MP, but of course, now part of Chhattisgarh. So we have some commonality between us. And I found your life journey very interesting and very inspiring. We would like to know more about your life journey. I think that you were, while growing up, you were kind of a fat kid while growing up, and you also started as your career as an engineer. So tell us more about JC prior to Fittr. What brought you into the fitness whole thing?
Right. So you're right that I was fat when I was a kid, and I was often picked up by my friends in school, and they tease me, with regards to what I was wearing, because my pants should be like, I would try to wear these super tight pants, but obviously they wouldn't make me look smaller, right? So they'd make fun of that. They'd make fun of how I was dressing, and then obviously they would make fun of every time I was eating something. They'll be like, "Kitna khayega, fat jayega," and all those things, right? And so I think it was when I was in class 8. One friend, now I consider him as a well-wisher. He told me, "Why don't you stop eating this nonsense and go and join a gym or something?" And I think that's when my fitness journey started. I went to a gym, and then we by that time we had moved from the village to the small town called Multipie, which is where my family stays now. So there was a gym, small gym. It was like an underground sort of a gym underneath a building, and so I joined the gym. It was like 80 or 100 rupee a month, and back then it used to be a lot of money, right? So yeah, joined and saw these guys who were built, and they were exercising. I think I just got intrigued about the whole thing, and so even though I didn't get fit, I got into the habit of going there and doing some weight training, and I continued doing that throughout my professional life also. And today, I think I've been going to the gym or working out for almost 20 plus years. I graduated as an engineer in a nearby college, which was very near to where I stayed. And from there, I did my engineering, graduated from there, and then moved to a couple of different cities. Started with Pune actually, and then spent about 8 years in IT. And I think before my move back to Pune, I was in Bangalore working at IBM. That's when I picked up some bad habits like smoking, drinking. You know how the IT culture is typically, and you take breaks, and by the time you realize everybody around you is smoking, and then you're like, sure, why not? And then you get caught up in that rut, right? So when I left IBM, I moved to Pune, and around the same time, I came to know that I'm going to be a father, and that's when I took a resolve that I want to be a fit father for my daughter. I want to be an example for her, and I quit everything. Like in one day, I just quit, and then I started getting back to my fitness journey once again. And this time I didn't stop at just getting fit. I took part in some competitions. There was this MTB Fitness Fan Challenge that was going on, so participated in that. Went to Mumbai, and then took participation in Fit Factor, which was a body power event, and then took part in Muscle Mania, and then I think I was also featured in Men's Health. So this was all happening back to back, and I think I was gaining some traction on social media because people are looking at my pictures and they wanted me to help them get fit. And so we created a small WhatsApp group where these friends and people from social media, they started asking me if I could help them get fit. So that's actually where it all started, 2013. And from WhatsApp, we moved to Facebook, where we started with the larger discussions, where people thought that I was qualified enough to answer some of their questions, and we just happened to ponder on some of the grave questions about future of fitness and how this industry is moving along and how we can fix some of the things in the industry. And then we realized this idea that how about instead of me training people, and I used to train people for free because it was like passion, and I didn't want to train people for money, even though a lot of people wanted me to personally train them, right? So I thought, instead of me training people, because first of all, I don't enjoy training for money, what if I educate people, and then these people who I'm educating, they can train people, they can take some money, and we'll keep the entire education bit free. So that way we'll also democratize fitness, but also if somebody is genuinely looking for some sort of guidance, the personal trainers, personal coaches will also have like a decent job. It wouldn't be like typical jobs in the gym where trainers are exploited. They have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, open up the gym, and we launched a portal called Squad in 2016, and we were an immediate hit. We were profitable. We launched with 14 coaches, and by the end of 2016, we almost clocked $1 million in revenue. So dream kind of a startup. And then we reinvested everything back into the company, continued to grow bootstrap for about 4.5 years. We got selected for Y Combinator in 2019 in December for their winter 2020 batch, right? And so I went there. I didn't like what I see, what I saw. Quit it in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, came back to India, and then Sequoia surge happened. They ended up writing a small check of about $2 million for the company. And back then we were doing about 5 million in ARR. Last year we clocked at about 9.3, and this year we are on track to do about a 20. And we've just closed our Series A. So yeah,
that's a really an awesome journey. And so I would love to talk more about that YC bit more because you mentioned you didn't like it because it's a very popular program globally. And also more about the Fittr journey in general, right? So, you've done an amazing growth from, whatever 5 crore to whatever 20 million right now, and probably going to, 100 million very soon. Well, let's talk more about the YC and the Fittr journey as well.
I think we were too mature for Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a great place, by the way. The first couple of weeks were interesting. We got to listen to a lot of people like Airbnb founder, like founder of Reddit, and I think more such people, more interesting people. So that way, YC was super good. It felt like, I was amongst a lot of other people like me, but I think because we were a lot more mature and we were profitable and we were not really trying to impress investors, I just felt the whole vibe about YC was about, impressing investors on the demo day and then just raising funds, right? It wasn't about addressing the fundamental questions about your business. It wasn't about fixing them, right? Which is what I found largely interesting in Surge. And I have to say that Surge kind of opened my eyes. And if it wasn't for Surge programs, we wouldn't be where we are right now. It's extremely immersive. It's really, really groundbreaking. And the kind of mentorship that I received in Surge, it changed my entire perspective on entrepreneurship. It basically underlined basic fundamentals, which I knew in my heart all along. And when they reiterated those principles, I was like, okay, yeah, that's why probably it worked. And this is why probably, why some of the people out there are struggling, because they're probably searching for some sort of a magic wand. And there isn't one, it's all about the basics of business. It's about, a win-win situation for everybody, for your customers, for people within the organization, for your partners, for your stakeholders. And all it requires is just a little bit of creativity. And if you're not able to do that, then you're probably being a little lazy. That's all about, So I think Surge also made me far more disciplined than I was originally. So, yeah.
So, JC, there are a lot of dietitians, nutritionists, etc., for whom the business model is you give out a plan for 2 weeks so that your customers come back to you 2 weeks later. And that's the way the business keeps running. Fittr has sort of flipped that on its head. You give out the secret sauce upfront. I used to be part of the Facebook group, and the first thing everyone used to write was follow the process, and that used to be read, get, shredded. Right? So you give out the secret sauce upfront, yet you are profitable, and this is very counterintuitive. So how does that work?
I think one way or the other, we live in a world where secrets always come out, and there's no point hiding secrets. It's always, like I said, you just have to be creative. And if you are not being creative, if you're not creating a win-win situation, it just means that you're mentally lazy. I figured that back then everybody is trying to hide everything. And I said, look, this is the thing that's going to make us stand out from everybody else. When nobody was telling the science behind fitness, I said, this is exactly what we need to do, because this is what people don't know right now. And if they don't know this right now, how are they going to make the right decision? Because even after people paying money and taking part in these programs, they were getting fit for sure, but they were not staying fit. Yeah. So the idea which separated Fittr from anybody else was that, look, you can get fit. We'll teach you how to stay fit. And it was all about behavioral training. Nobody gets fit by following a diet for 3 months. It's the habit, it's the behavior, it's the education that we impart, which allows you to understand the process. Now, I'm pretty sure that today you are fairly confident that even if you gain a couple of pounds, you know how to lose them, right? You know how to go through calorie deficit, you know how to quantify macros, you know how to read a packet label, right? So this is all fitness is all about. That's what Fittr is all about. It's about empowerment, So we empower you, and that was what was missing from the game.
So, JC, every Fittr coach and every dedicated member of Fittr speaks the same language. And by language, I don't just mean the content, but I mean the intent, the politeness with which people talk, the high quality responses that they give to other questions. How did you, imbibe this DNA amongst all the members?
I think it was a gradual process. People have aspirations, people have desire, and you just have to guide them towards what they want most in a way which is sustainable. And I think I always believe that leading by example is going to be one of the biggest challenges. also one of the biggest factors in determining if this thing becomes a success. Because tomorrow I can't wake up and tell my coaches, hey, you guys have to be fit, if I'm not keeping myself fit. I can't tell somebody that, hey, by getting physically fit, you're also becoming mentally fit, socially fit, or financially fit, if I can't see those changes in myself. So I believed in showing those things. So today, you see me as an individual, you probably think, okay, this guy is fit, he's financially fit, he's socially fit, he's mentally fit. Now let me follow him, right? So that's the same thing which we taught our coaches also. The coaches learn from me, and then I want the coaches to teach their customers, clients, and then eventually when some of those clients become coaches, they'll further teach. So it's very simple concept which comes from the ancient Gurukul concept, right, where the student becomes the teacher and the parampara goes on. So it's a simple concept. You imbibe your qualities, you pass it on to the coming generation, and the whole change just continues.
No, JC, much like in investing, the process is simple, but it's not easy. It requires a lot of dedication, and like every Fittr member seems to show that dedication, which is absolutely amazing to see. You spoke about mental health. So, Fittr has now evolved onto other issues like kids' fitness, mental health, etc. Could you talk a little about that journey?
We are still in exploratory phases, and one of the things that we have been extremely careful about was that whenever we are going to do something, it should make an impact. It should be something which we are absolutely sure about. And mental wellness has been one of those initiatives around which we have been dilly-dallying a little bit, because we have counselors. We have counselors worldwide. We have gone through different kinds of program curriculums worldwide. But unlike the fitness curriculum that we have right now, which is you follow the process and there are some quantifiable, measurable outputs, and based on these measurable outputs, one can determine if this program was actually a success or if it was BS, right? We have not been able to quantify the whole mental wellness side of things. So we are still working with the team. We are working with different researchers who can sort of create some sort of a output-based measurable metric which users can measure. So when they come to us and when they enroll for a mental wellness program, after 12 weeks, there should be something which we can measure. It shouldn't be just limited to one's feelings. It should be something which could be quantified. So that's where it is. In terms of kid fitness, I think we are running POC. Parents are really excited. We'll continue to run the POC till we have a much larger system in place. So.
No, I think that's something which is needed. As a father of a 6-year-old, I see how all kids' food is just laden with sugar. Like all vitamins from A to Z are just listed out on the label, but the quantities are minuscule. So this is an area where I think there's a lot of disruption to happen, and I would be very happy to see Fittr do that. Okay. So let's talk a little about the transformation challenge. So from TC1 to the current edition, I think it has gone a massive upgrade in terms of number of participants, the prizes, etc. So how has that journey evolved?
I think when we started back in 2016, that's when the transformation challenge one happened. I think 2015 or 2016, don't remember exactly. And there were about 150 odd people who participated in that. And the idea was that, look, and inherently, people have inhibitions and they don't want to stick to a routine. And when you create some sort of an accountability towards the end of it, you get something. And I think a healthy competition between people is always needed. And if you witness history, it will tell you that we've always loved a good competition, because competitions are a way for us to establish or re-establish our identities amongst the people we live. So competitions are extremely important part of who we are. And I think from TC1 to TC2 to TC3 and now TC13, 14, we realized that every time we did these competitions, we identified a lot of champions, and we identified a lot of people who are furthering the cause that we started out with. So Transformation Challenge has now become for us a source of finding these hidden gems in society, who can champion the cause. So first it was one JC, now we have like hundreds of people like me. And I think transformation challenge is kind of also a test of your it's not just a test of your physical strength but mental strength. It tests you, and anybody who can surpass the physical and mental limitations in a matter of 12 weeks and then ends up coming in top 50, top 100, those guys, whether they win the challenge or not, I'm pretty sure they're going to do amazing things in their lives, because they have everything what it takes to be a successful person in life.
Yeah. So JC, let's discipline and good habits are always very important part to bring any change in anybody's life, right? And I'm sure that has been very important, more important in bringing the physical transformation which you guys work on. What are the certain hacks or razors you recommend for doing that?
I think one of the things is that everybody should have a larger goal, a larger vision. And that's extremely important, because if you lose sight of the big picture, sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in a rut. And the more you go at a micro level, the more you get caught up, and suddenly you'll have people who are extremely busy doing things which don't even matter, right? So it's really important for you to rise above the jibber jabber, the daily rut, and see exactly what is it that you are looking for, see exactly where you want to be in life, what's the kind of legacy you're going to leave behind for your kids, for family, if it's financial health, if it's physical health, if it's mental health, social health, what's the end, where would you see yourself not 5 years down the line, but probably minutes before you're about to die. So that's the kind of long-term picture I want everybody to envision, and I think that helps a lot, because then you're not worried about small setbacks either, because no matter what I do today or what kind of failure I exhibit or experience today, it's probably not going to matter in the next 5 years. Forget 50 years, I wouldn't even remember, right? So I think that prepares you for much larger challenges mentally. Once you're prepared for these larger challenges, I think the smaller challenges like a 3-month transformation challenge, it becomes a lot more easier. And at the end of it, because you are physically and mentally tougher, it's always worth it.
Yeah. So any entrepreneurial journey has its own ups and downs, right? You go through many phases, you experiment a lot of things, you iterate a lot of things. So what are some of the things you experimented with Fittr? Some which clicked, some which didn't click.
Right. So I think a fairly recent example, we've always been a word of mouth kind of a company, and we have never done marketing before. I think recently we started doing some marketing, and I'm not happy how it happened. And so now for the time being, we just paused everything. We're like, okay, I don't understand marketing. And I don't think anybody in our company understands marketing, so let's take a pause. And we'll probably start doing marketing once we really understand what it is all about, because I don't think we are communicating the right kind of message, nor is it helping us grow in any manner, right? So that was like an example of how we make decisions. What we have also done is that we have acknowledged that we are not going to marry our failures. Like we'll fail, and then we'll learn and recover quickly, and then just move on to the next thing, right? Similarly, when we, I think it was around 2017, 2018, when we were doing extremely well, we decided that we'll go and extend our services in an offline model, because in the community, a lot of people were making repeated requests that, hey, online is great, but sometimes, people don't connect so easily with online. And it would be great if you guys can have some sort of offline presence. So we started opening up centers. We did open up 14 centers. They started doing well, but we also realized that they were highly people-centric. So some centers did extremely well, while some centers were suffering, right? And we tried to fix that problem for a while, but then we realized, look, if it's a people problem, it's not going to be easy fix. And we'd probably infuse a lot more capital, and we'll burn a lot more money before it goes anywhere. And then we looked at our online model and we said, look, why should we do anything else? This thing is working. We just focus back on this. So we switched all our attention back on it. We shut down all the centers, luckily, before the pandemic happened. So so I think that was a good decision. Then back in 2016-17, we also launched a website called Wolfpack, which was into apparels. It was profitable from day one because we had a huge community. It also had a lot of pull because of the entire brand and the community around it. But I think it was too taxing, and it was just not worth it. And the kind of business that we were doing in Fittr versus the kind of amount and time we were spending here, it was just not worth it. We said, this is a good idea. Let's park it for future when we have enough people to run it. And back in 2016, I think we were just 10-15 people who were running the entire thing. And it was just becoming too difficult and to manage so many things at once. So we parked that idea. Yeah, so it's like a lot of things which we learned, some of the things we carried forward, like PT, which we launched immediately after pandemic. That was a hit. And the PT services have grown dramatically. In the 6 months, we have experienced over 100% growth. And so.
Interesting. So, we spoke in bits and pieces on the whole community angle, and you mentioned about that. And, very clearly, you guys have a very strong and growing community. You guys talk about values, trust, transparency, accountability. These words are always easier to say, but very difficult to actually imbibe. How do you guys, get that imbibed into the whole culture of the company, into your community?
I think these words are, like you rightly pointed out, they're extremely difficult to follow through at a lower level. But I think once you get to a position of accountability, once you get to a position of respect and authority, you don't have any choice. Because people expect a certain kind of behavior. And today I can't just go out, and announce to the world that, look, I'm a guy who's got money in the bank. I'm a guy who's got following. So I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. I can't do that because I'm a responsible individual, and people look up to me. So it's not just about me anymore. The reason I'm here is because I've done certain things in my life in a right manner to reach here. And any kind of mistake can just throw me down in that same pit, where I came from. So you just become more and more mindful, you just become more and more thoughtful. And I think the more you grow in life, it's all about your connections with people and who they think you really are. For example, if I'm talking to Mihir and Mihir talks to me and I say something and then I go back and say something else to somebody else. And if I'm not being consistent in what I've been doing and what I've been saying, say, this is probably not the right guy, right? And this because at a lower level, you have a lot of people. Once you get to some position, you have comparatively less number of people. As you keep rising higher, the circle is even more closer. So everybody knows everybody. Like, for example, there are a handful of companies which are probably at a stage where we are now, and so it's a handful of people, and they're all going through the same thing. So trust, accountability, word of mouth, it plays a very, very big role, and I can't just stress enough on this point that at the end of the day, nobody's going to invest in your business. They're going to invest in you. Investors or anybody for that matter, even if you're talking to somebody who's in a much, much respectable position, the only reason they have decided to talk to you is not because of the background you've come from, but the person you have become or what others have been saying about you, right? So that's what it is all about. You have to lead your life filled with integrity, ethics, and just have to do it, even if it seems extremely, difficult and hard. There's no choice.
I completely agree with you. Now let's talk more about your team and your co-founders. I was listening to one of your podcasts and heard that some of your co-founders left and they tried doing a venture which failed. So do you want to talk more about your team and other co-founders?
Right. So my core team, which originally started, was filled with Bala, And there were a couple of people. I'll address them in a minute. So Bala is one of the most oldest member in the team. Then I was joined by Rohit Chattopadhyay, who was a community member. And Bala also was in the US. He was actually working in Ford Motors at the time. And we just met through a Fittr community. I was answering some questions and he was interested. And then I saw like he started answering some questions. So, the trust was built. And then I was like, okay, this is a cool guy, because I'm helping the community members. He's helping the community members. Started talking. And surprisingly, I think around September, October, when we were doing our first Connect, which is a flagship annual event, I gave a call to Bala. I said, Bala, this is becoming too difficult. Why don't you quit your job and come here? And he didn't think. Like, he said, okay, fine, I'll be there. And so he came. He left his job. He came here, even though he was making much more money there. He was leading a much more enjoyable life. But I told him, and that was the kind of trust that we had immediately. And this was, I think, my second call to Bala. Before that, we had never spoken on phone. I think once I spoke to him was when he had some sort of a personal emergency, and he called me up and he told me that there was some personal emergency. And this was the second call. So I called him and he quit his job. He came here. Then Rohit was working with his co-founders at a factory in Bhilai. He's a hustler. His dad left him when he was 19 years old. With a huge pile of debt. So he made a name for himself by building business with his friends and family members there. And I think he got interested in Fittr community after he read my book Get Shredded, and he transformed. So from a pot belly to 6-pack abs, and he became an ardent follower. And he would often message me, he would often message me and say, hey, JC, what you guys are doing is really amazing. Why don't you just give me an opportunity to work with you guys? I'm working here in Bhilai, but it's not the kind of work I want to do. I want to be with you guys because what you're doing is really exciting. And I think I jokingly told him, yeah, sure, why don't you come to Pune and we'll figure out. He came and he stayed in Viman for a couple of months. He would come first thing in the morning, sweep the entire office, take care of everything. He would always be the guy who would hang around with me, even when everybody would leave, and he'll discuss the plans. He would always ask me, JC, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I think we bonded very naturally. And when my co-founder left, not Bala, there was this one more guy. I don't want to take his name. He wasn't really the original co-founder like me, Bala, and there were a couple of others who were the co-founders. They are still in the company, but he was more of a community member and he was very educated. So he came in and he said, look, I can help you guys with finances and doing all the accounting and all that stuff, right? So that's how he became part of the company. But when they decided to branch out and they started to create their own company, we were left with nobody with that kind of a brain to manage the accounting and all those things. And it was like tons of Excel sheets and documents and information. And I think it was just me and Rohit who sat throughout nights, 3 days straight, and fixed all the things. And we were a growing business, right? So I think after that I realized, okay, Rohit is he's a real deal. And no matter what, this guy is not going to leave me. So then we became really close, and he's a director in the company. He's still there. Sonal graduated from LSE, and she worked in some rural parts of India as part of her mission. And back then, so this is what she tells, that she always wanted to, grow up into a person who would change the world or do something amazing. And she grew up in Canada, but she always wanted to come back to India. She did come back to India after marriage, and then I think she was participating in this Mrs. Asia Universe contest. And I think somebody told her that she could reach me and I could train her. And so I trained her, and then she eventually won her title. And we were looking for speakers for Connect. So I pinged her and I asked her if she could come and be one of the guest speakers, and she agreed. So when she came here, and that was the time when my earlier co-founder and all these guys, they decided to split off. I just I just asked Sonal if she would want to be involved in this process, the whole financial and the accounting. And because she came from a rich background, she was working at Deloitte in London, right? So she took over, and she has been with the company ever since. And so even today, she is head of finances, head of compliance, strategic investments, and everything. Joe was a really interesting story. So it was March 2016. I get a blank call, and then I call back, and there's this lady on the phone, and she's like, my name is Jyoti, and I run this blog, and I've seen you guys, you have built a good group, and I want to write articles for your blog. I said, okay, cool, but we won't be able to pay you. We will pay you 10,000 rupees a month. She said, yeah, that's fine. I don't want money. I just want to write. I just want to be part of this. And it was much later I realized that she was a IIM graduate, and she has her master's from Warwick University, and she was working at City, London, and she had decided to quit her job to do something of her own. She was writing articles over a period of time. I think I gave her responsibility for Squats Academy back then. She grew it into a business. And today, INFS is one of the largest education institutes in the country, having trained 26,000 plus professionals. So yeah, that's how all of us met.
That's very actually interesting that you guys all met, apart from Joe, through your work while they were part of the community, or you were like Sonal, you were training, and it's actually very incredible to form. By the way, did you mention Rohit is from Bhilai?
Yeah, Rohit is from Bhilai.
That's my hometown. I grew up there.
You'd probably know him then.
No, I'm of a different genre, so probably I may not, but yeah, but I still, that's my hometown. I visit there like 4 or 5 times a year. So yeah, that's something close to me. Before I'll talk about Surge, and I'll also talk about your recent funding which you just mentioned. I want to talk about Suniel Shetty, and he's one of your backers. So do you want to talk more about it?
I think he's one of the most amazing persons I've met, and he's a lot like what you've seen him in movies, right? He's like he is his real life is no different from his real life. He's the same kind of person. If you've seen his movie, Border movie, that's him. Yeah. that's real life. That's him in real life, and that's how scary, and that's how charismatic, and that's how amazing he is. Like 6 feet tall, walks like a like a proper don, and the right word, but like when you're in his presence, you feel very inspired. That's how I want to grow old. And he's 60, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
He's competing with us. He's like, JC, my competition isn't with anybody else. I'm gonna beat you. So that he's just one of the most inspiring people I've ever met in my life. I think he's a lot like me, or I would say I'm a lot like him. He's impulsive. And he's very passionate about fitness, and I think our team was doing Transformation Wars. It was a reality series we did for YouTube back in 2017, and we said, why don't we take it a level up and start involving somebody? So I sent a teaser. One of my team members sent a teaser to Karan, who was handling Anna's, like he was managing Anna at that time, his company Popcorn Entertainment, right? And I think after seeing that teaser, instead of Anna saying anything, he just said, I just want to meet these guys. And when I met Anna, what started off as a discussion of whether we can have him as part of Transformation Wars. He said, let me just work with you guys. I have some amazing ideas. And I said, why not? And I think he's been extremely, extremely lucky for us. And not that we have done any sort of advertisements or anything right with him. He's just like there, like an angel. Every now and then he'll call me, he'll ask me, JC, what's going on and how you guys doing? Do you need any help? and he keeps guiding me because he's seen that journey, right? He doesn't come from extreme riches. He's a guy who made a name for himself coming from a very humble background. And so I think he's like there, he's guiding me at every step of the way, and he's like, JC, now you're at this stage, this is what's going to happen. So he's kind of how do you say, he's there as a father figure. So I just like having him around a lot. He's an amazing guy.
That's incredible. So you mentioned some of the numbers, and so want to talk a little bit more about that. And also, you said you just raised a Series A, and you earlier raised money from Search. What are you going to do with all this money?
I think the fitness market is really evolving, and it's now going to be interesting to see how the entire industry shapes up. And I think it's one of the fastest growing industries today. Also, again, this is something which I've been reiterating for so many years, that look, fitness is going to be the next big thing. And back then investors wouldn't listen to us, but now we are being flocked, and it's a good thing. The fact that this whole obesity problem has become such a big problem that it can't be ignored. On top of that, what the pandemic did, it actually changed the entire perspective, changed the entire narrative about health and fitness, and how it can't be, it can be done online, and it is not just limited to offline. And I think that has opened up a Pandora's box, and that has now created a lot more ideas, that has created a lot more startups in the industry. So the industry is in a very interesting phase. Now, what we want to do is, because we have already established a position, we are already an authority, and our business model is kind of a top of the funnel, right? Because we are education and awareness, right? Everybody comes after this. So we would like to continue to be an authority in this space by educating and creating more and more awareness. And our primary model is going to be fitness coaching. However, seeing how most of the other companies are switching to online model, such as and there's Netflix, there's Swiggy, there's Zomato. So there are companies today which are not just providing a solution, they're altering behavior. And that's exactly what we do, right? We alter your behavior, we incorporate habits and lifestyle, which eventually result in a weight loss or you getting fit. It's you getting fit as an outcome of the process. The process is altering your behavior. So there are companies which are trying to alter your behavior in a certain manner. We kind of feel like we have the moral authority to change it the other way, right? So fight is literally that, And so if Swiggy and Zomato and other companies are gonna convince you to order delicious food online, Fittr is gonna try and convince you, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. I want to say one thing about Netflix, and I read a very beautiful line on that somebody asked Netflix, who is your competition? They say, our competition is sleep. Our competition is not HBO or Disney. My competition is sleep, that I want to show more content so you don't sleep. Sorry, I cut you in between. Please go on.
No. I think, and that's exactly what we are thinking. Our competition is not really cult and healthy me. If anything, those are actually our friends. Our actual competition is companies like Swiggy and Zomato. It's not even Netflix. It's inevitable, because watching Netflix is probably not going to make you unfit or unhealthy, but eating food, high calorie dense food from the outside definitely will. And I think that penetration is happening at an alarming pace, and it's now penetrating a younger generation, which is something which is not kind of acceptable. And again, it's a healthy sport, right? We believe that we have the right team, we have the right people, we have the right mission and vision, and so it's just about putting fire behind everything that we have, and just hopefully we'll be able to change people's behavior and say, look, because I don't remember the last time I ordered food from Swiggy or Zomato. I don't even have these apps, and I'm perfectly hale and hearty, and I don't miss them, right? So it's not like I'm missing anything from my life. So it's like these people are trying to alter your behavior in a certain manner. I would like to do it in another way, and this is a much better life, So
So, you want to talk a little bit more about the numbers as well? I mean, you mentioned that you're at 20 million ARR, you're raising money. And so what are you going to do with the money? What's your target like? Where do you see in next 5 years?
Right, so we are not at 20 million ARR right now. We are currently at about 16 million. But by the end of the year, we'd probably cover up for some bad months. So that's where we are. Last year we did close between INFS and Fittr at about 10.3. So 9.3 from here, and then almost $1 million in INFS. Right? So that's what we did there. This year the target is. Like I said, we do a 20+ in revenue, and then on top of that, the target is also to have at least 1,000+ coaches and PTs, onboarded onto the platform. That apart from that, I think the product is going a complete overhaul. We are releasing a new version of the app in a couple of days from now. That should reestablish our position in the industry. I believe hands down that we'd be able to call this one of the best products for health and fitness out there. The kind of overhaul that has gone in the last couple of months. So that is there, and I think getting the leadership team, the remaining pieces of the puzzle, the product guy, product leader, the community guys, somebody with a behavioral psychology background. A lot more people who have been at a Series A kind of a stage and who have taken companies to IPO. Because I'm learning as fast as I can, and there's a lot more to learn. But I believe that if we just get the right kind of people on board who have been there, done that, I think this journey can be a lot more easier for all of us. So that's the idea, getting the right kind of people with the right team, then focus on the right product, and then eventually the right sort of marketing, and then go full guns blazing.
From all that discussion around numbers, let's get down to some fun. So, JC, there are a lot of myths floating out there about fitness. What, according to you, are some of the most ridiculous ones you have heard?
Yeah, I think this just does not die. The one that's like you can't eat after 7 o'clock. Yeah. Crazy. Then there are certain myths like you shouldn't eat water between the meals. Then there are, you can wake up and have your lemon and ajwain and zira water to burn fat, or fat is sweat crying, and those. There's a huge list. Or women shouldn't lift weights. So there's a long list of all these crazy myths out there. And
I have heard some around green tea, that you have green tea and you're going to magically lose weight, and the pastry which you eat just doesn't matter, by the way. It's just the green tea that's going to help you.
And around that, I think there's also this thing: if you eat prasad, the calories don't count.
That's the best one.
No, so JC, I have been speaking a lot about this to a lot of people, that fitness and investing really follow the same principles. Okay? So why don't we play a quick game? You give us a concept around fitness, and let me try and give you a counterpart concept which is similar to that in the investing world.
Sure.
Stage is yours, JC.
Yeah.
Right. So I think physical fitness is not really a problem. It's an outcome. It's an outcome of what you do every single day.
Yeah.
So the target shouldn't be physical fitness. It should be what you're going to do, right? So a routine, your behavior, that's the actual problem that you have to address. Fitness is going to be an outcome.
No, I think very similar concept in investing. Creating wealth is an outcome.
Correct.
The things you do for it, which is your routine, something as simple as an SIP, reduce your expenses, increase your savings, save regularly. Day by day, you will see your wealth growing.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. And I believe, I think not just, investing, I think almost all the things that we hold very close or are important in life, they follow same set of principles,
Yeah.
It's just that the short-sightedness takes over and people start I start thinking of outcomes as objectives, instead of the process, instead of following the process. So my next concept would be, it's a process, right? Like you don't get unfit in a day, and so you're definitely not going to get fit in a day. So but nobody is bothered about how much time it took them from becoming a unfit person from fit person, but everybody is bothered about getting back to that, and that they want to do in 3 days, 5 days, 3 months. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's a process, and it's going to take time, and build on top of that process. Don't give in, because nothing good ever comes out of doing something that's easy.
So very, very similar again in investing. It's not your losses on 1 or 2 days that are going to set you back. You don't go from wealthy to facing huge losses in 1 or 2 days. It happens over a period of time. So just keep investing regularly, follow the process. Over time, wealth will grow.
Awesome. Then again, WHO defines health as not merely an absence of disease, but the presence of physical, mental, social, emotional, and I'd like to add financial well-being. So fitness shouldn't be seen in isolation. It should be looked at as one of the founding pillars, of a happy and healthy life. So I treat there are 4 pillars. I see these 4 pillars. One is physical health, mental health, financial health, and your social health. Right? All these pillars are important, and there lies the foundation. And if you don't focus on one of the pillars, the growth will be unstable. But if you ignore, more than one or more than 2 of these, the growth will come down. And so you should never try to isolate any of these things, and they all have to go hand in hand.
We also believe in a concept called financial independence target. We call it as FIT, which is an acronym set because of our love for health as well. Right. So we say that you achieve financial independence when you don't have to work for money. You work for what you're passionate about. You are not worried where your next source of income is going to come from.
Right. That's absolutely right. And I think more and more people need to understand this. If you keep working for money, it's not really a good way to live your life. Money has to be an outcome. Fitness has to be an outcome. The process is more or less the same. You wake up, you take care of your health, you read up, you exercise, you take care of your loved ones, and then you try and solve a problem. And I think by doing this, you're taking care of everything. And financial health, mental health, physical wealth, and your social wealth, all of this is going to be outcome of what you do in that single day.
True.
Awesome.
There are just so many similarities. Like people would ask, is olive oil healthy or is brown rice healthy? Similarly, in our investing world, we have people asking, is XYZ stock good? So how you would respond to the question on olive oil is, just don't care about whether it's healthy or not. Just look at the CPF profile within your overall macros. Similarly, we talk about stocks. Just don't bother about whether it's good or bad. Does that stock fit into your financial goal plan? Right? Does it fit into your asset allocation? So the counterparts of carb, protein, fat in investing are debt, equity, and gold. You just have to have a right mix of these. Continue your focus on that. Complete your macros, which you can do by regular investing, and then just wait and watch.
Gold is the protein here, I suppose.
So that's a level of correlation I haven't really gotten into, but it's interesting. Maybe I'll try and correlate CPF individually to debt, equity, gold.
It's a building block, right? As long as the gold is taken care of, rest of the things can be debt and equity can be managed. It's very, very interesting. Absolutely.
So I'll tell you one more very interesting analogy, which I tell people who generally say that you just have a morning walk and you'll be healthy. So I tell them that when you are walking, you are burning calories just while you do it. So that's like simple interest. You put money in a bank, you get returns on your FD, right? That's what you get. If you do resistance training, you're not only burning calories while you do it, but because you are accumulating muscle, you get that afterburn effect. So that's like compounding. Yeah. So you put in money once, you get interest on interest, then further interest on interest, and that's how you see those massive gains.
Correct.
So similarly, resistance training gives you those massive gains. Walking is great, but it can't be the only thing. Similarly, FD is great, but can't be the only thing.
Right. And what's your advice for people who keep putting money in FD? What do you tell them?
So I think I'll just flip the question around to you. What's your advice for people who just do morning walks?
Resistance training. Yeah. Resistance training, a little more physical resistance training. So
So similarly, it's a little more investment in mutual funds. If you don't want to take equity exposure, do that regularly. Options to invest in gold. There are listed products available. You don't need to buy physical gold. All of this can be done at a click of a button.
Got it. Awesome.
So just have a good mix of everything, not put all your eggs into one basket.
Perfect. That makes so much sense. Yes.
Yeah. And then, as you say, right, a fitness plan is kind of a little bit different for each one. So investment plan is also different for each one based on your risk profile, based on, what are your goals here. So, it may not be necessarily be same for products are similar, but what percentage you allocate to each one will be different. Since we've been talking about investing, I want to come to personal investing side for you, JC. And what's been your personal investing journey so far? How do you plan your finances? I can see the laugh. I can see the laugh.
Okay, honestly, I've never cared for money much. Since I've been a kid, I've never really worried about money because I've somehow first of all, I've never had those kind of needs where I need money. I'm the kind of a guy who can manage. I think I can manage myself in extreme situations. Right, that's how I built myself. But I've been lucky that since I've founded Fittr, even before Fittr, I think I was doing well off in my software career. But since I joined Fittr, luckily I didn't have to worry about a day about what's going to happen. And like today, Fittr is worth something. And so we founders get to dilute a little bit of our secondaries from time to time, and that takes care of like health and wealth both. So that's so at this point of time, I'm not really worried, but again, mine is a one-off scenario. You can say guy with good genetics, but everybody out there who doesn't have a company like Fittr, they definitely need more solid investment advice for sure.
Yeah, and while you mentioned what you mentioned was more about the cash flows. Investing is a little bit long-term in nature, but as they say, right, for anything like physical fitness, you are better off with a professional help. In investing also, you're always better off with a professional help. So
I'll definitely be looking at it because now is the stage in my life where I should be taking help from a professional because I suck at finances. That's for sure. I have no shame in accepting I suck at finances.
No, I say I suck at nutrition before I became a member of Fittr, JC. So
no, I agree. Although in my defense, I think I've invested in a couple of small companies, and that's my way of giving back to people who were in my place several years back. So I think I've invested in some 5 to 6 companies, and I don't look back. Like I invest and then I just don't look back. So I've done that, but obviously I'm not saying that's the most optimal way of managing my funds. I just feel that this is not the right stage for me to worry about those things, and I'm too instinctive also, because if I have money in the bank and if I can help somebody, I'd rather do that than getting my point right. So but I'm sure that I would have to let go of my bad habits, or I'd be in big trouble soon. So I'll definitely get a finance consultant soon. I will.
We are coming very, towards the close of our talk. So this is one question, I ask every of my guests: what advice you will give to your 20-year-old self?
Nothing. Nothing. First of all, I wouldn't even give them any sort of advice. I'd say just just go on. Life is just preparing for something, and even though it sucks right now, even though you feel like this is the end of the world, or your life can't get better, just endure. And life has plans for everybody. You just have to be open-minded. You should be able to embrace things as they come to you, and the more you endure, the more you will be pegged for much bigger challenges. The more you face these bigger challenges, the more stronger you will get. So don't worry if you're having some problems. It's a good thing. It's gonna make you strong. You have to be strong in future. So it's all good. It's all good.
That's a very interesting one, and I'll say, I asked this question to everyone. Of course, everybody answers it differently, but this is one answer one of other guests also gave, and I really liked it because your experience is your experience. He said, "I want to change your experience. Have your own experience, and have fun." So I really like this thought. So with that we come to our close of our session. Thanks a lot, JC. It's been really I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure Mihir did as well. And
no points for guessing that. My smile says it all, Raj.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen, and I love doing it. I once again apologize for not being able to do it early. I should have done this, but like I told you, we were going through and raising funds is not an easy process. It's a lot more complex. It's difficult, especially in India, and we are not edtech, right? So
no, thank you so much. Thanks a lot.